Ladies and gentlemen, imagine you are lying in the ocean, trying to stay afloat. You panic, flailing your arms, struggling to keep your head above water. But the more you fight, the more you sink. And then something remarkable happens. You let go, you surrender. And suddenly you float effortlessly. This is the paradox of peace. The more you struggle to find it, the more it slips through your fingers. You tell yourself, once I fix this, achieve that, overcome this. But peace is not waiting for you at the finish line of your plans. It is here, now, in the very act of letting go. You see, most of us have been conditioned to believe that peace is something outside of us, something to be earned, achieved, or granted by the world. But what if I told you that peace is not something to seek, but something to remember? Stay with me, and by the end of this, you may not need to chase peace ever again. We spend our lives trying to manage the uncontrollable, predicting the unpredictable, securing the uncertain, and wrestling with the inevitable. But have you noticed that life has its own rhythm, indifferent to your plans? The more you try to force it, the more resistance you create. True peace arises not from controlling life, but from flowing with it, like a river that does not argue with the rocks in its path, but simply moves around them, reshaping itself without resistance. The mind is a master storyteller, constantly spinning narratives about who you are, what you should be, and what you must fear. But if you observe it closely, you'll see thoughts come and go, yet you remain. Peace is not about silencing the mind. It's about realizing that you are not your thought. When you stop identifying with the chatter in your head, you become like the sky, allowing the clouds to pass without being disturbed by them. We think of peace as the absence of problems, but life doesn't work that way. There will always be noise, movement, change. But have you ever noticed how music is not just the notes, but the spaces between them? Peace is not found in eliminating chaos, but in dancing with it, like a surfer riding the waves, not trying to calm the ocean, but learning to glide with its rhythm. Look at your life right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, just now. Is there anything actually wrong in this moment? Not in your thoughts, but in this very instant. Most of our suffering exists in the stories we tell ourselves about the past and the future. But right now, in this breath, peace is already here. You don't have to earn it, you just have to notice it. And here is the funny part. The moment you stop taking your worries so seriously, they begin to lose their grip on you. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a game to be played, a dance, a cosmic joke. And the punchline, the peace you've been searching for has been inside you all along. So, peace yourself. Not by searching, but by stopping. Not by effort, but by surrender. Let go of the idea that peace is something to attain. Relax into the flow of existence. And you will realize peace is not something you find. We have been taught from an early age that control is the key to a good life. Control your emotions, control your future, control your surroundings. We set goals, create plans, and build strategies, believing that if we arrange things just right, we can avoid suffering and ensure happiness. But have you noticed? Life does not seem to care about our plans. Things fall apart, unexpected events disrupt our carefully crafted schedules, people behave in ways we never anticipated. The more we try to grip life tightly, the more it slips through our fingers, like sand refusing to be held in a clenched fist. And yet we continue, convinced that if we just try a little harder, if we just push a little more, we will finally be in control. But let's examine this idea closely. What exactly are we trying to control? The weather? The economy, other people's opinions, even our own minds are often beyond our control. Thoughts arise without invitation. Emotions surge unexpectedly, and desires come and go like waves on the ocean. The simple truth is that control is largely an illusion. And yet, we suffer because we resist this reality. We fight against the natural flow of life, demanding that it conform to our expectation. When things don't go as planned, we feel betrayed, frustrated, anxious. But the truth is, life never agreed to follow our script. Ironically, the moment we release this illusion of control, something remarkable happens. The anxiety begins to fade, the stress loses its grip, we stop resisting life, and instead we begin to move with it. Like a surfer riding a wave, we realize that our task is not to control the ocean, but to learn to navigate its rhythm. The wave will rise and fall whether we like it or not. We can either panic, trying to force it into submission, or we can relax, adjust, and flow with its energy. Consider how much energy is wasted in worry. We agonize over the future, rehearsing imaginary scenarios in which we lose, fail, or fall apart. But notice something. Has worry ever actually prevented life from happening? Has stress ever stopped an unexpected event? No amount of planning can prepare us for everything. And when life does go off track, we find ourselves adapting anyway, whether we plan to or not. In fact, some of the most beautiful moments in life arise precisely from the unexpected. A wrong turn leads to a breathtaking view. A failure opens the door to a new opportunity. A breakup forces self-discovery and growth. The very things we try to control are often the ones that shape us the most when we surrender to them. Letting go does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean giving up. It simply means understanding that life is not a machine to be operated, but a dance to be danced. It means moving with life rather than trying to force life to move with us. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, there is a voice in our head narrating our lives. It comments, judges, worries, plans, remembers, and projects. It tells us who we are, what we should do, what we should fear, and what we should desire. And we listen. We believe that this voice is us, that it is our identity, our essence. But have you ever stopped to question this assumption? Have you ever noticed that you can observe this voice, that you can listen to it as if it were someone else talking? If you can observe it, then who is the observer? Most of us live trapped inside our thoughts, carried away by them as if they were reality itself. We do not see thoughts as mere events occurring in consciousness. We see them as truths. If a thought arises that says, "I am not good enough," we believe it. If a thought predicts something bad is going to happen, we prepare for disaster. But thoughts are not reality. They are just mental noise, passing through like clouds in the sky. The sky does not try to hold on to the clouds, nor does it identify with them. It simply allows them to pass, knowing they are temporary. What if we could relate to our minds in the same way? The problem is not that we think, but that we become so entangled in thinking that we lose the ability to simply be. We mistake the noise in our heads for who we are, and this identification creates endless suffering. A mind filled with fear convinces us that we are fearful. A mind filled with anger convinces us that we are anger. But when we step back and observe, something shifts. We realize that thoughts come and go, yet something remains constant beneath them. That something is awareness itself. It is the silent witness that has been with you since childhood, unchanged despite the passing years. It is not your opinions, not your memories, not your fears. It is the space in which all those things appear. When we begin to disidentify from our thoughts, a profound peace emerges. We no longer take the mind's chatter so seriously. We see its worries and judgments for what they are, temporary fluctuations of energy, rather than absolute truth. And in this realization, we become free. We do not need to fight the mind, nor do we need to silence it. We only need to see it clearly. The moment we step back and recognize the mind as just another part of our experience, rather than the core of who we are, its grip loosens. Thoughts may still arise, but they no longer control us. They pass like ripples on a vast ocean, while the deeper waters remain undisturbed. In this stillness, we find something we have been seeking all along, not a mind free from thought, but a self free from identification. And in that freedom, peace naturally arises. We long for peace, yet we often misunderstand what it truly means. We imagine peace as a state of perfect stillness, an escape from chaos, a place where nothing disturbs us. But life does not work that way. Chaos is woven into the very fabric of existence. The universe itself is a dance of opposites, order and disorder, structure and spontaneity, creation and destruction. We see this everywhere. The forest burns, and from the ashes new life emerges. A storm rages, yet the sky eventually clears. A life crumbles, only for transformation to take place. If we look closely, we realize that peace is not the elimination of chaos. It is learning how to move with it. Most people believe that if they could just remove all the difficulties from their lives, they would finally be at peace. But have you noticed? The moment one problem is solved, another takes its place. The mind, like a restless ocean, always finds something to stir. We strive to control everything, to create a predictable, stable existence, yet life continues to surprise us. A perfectly smooth life is an illusion, and the more we try to force it into order, the more fragile it becomes. True peace does not come from controlling life, but from understanding its rhythm. Like a dancer responding to music, we do not dictate the notes, but move in harmony with them. Consider music itself. A song is not made of just one repeated note. It is a combination of highs and lows, tension and release, melody and silence. The beauty of music comes from contrast. If a song were entirely predictable, it would become dull. Likewise, a life without challenge, change, or uncertainty would lose its depth. It is in contrast, the interplay of chaos and order, that life becomes meaning. Yet we resist the very thing that gives life its richness. We want security without risk, growth without discomfort, love without disvulnerability. But these things are inseparable. The more we fight against this truth, the more suffering we create. Imagine a surfer facing the waves. If they try to resist the ocean, demand that the waves stop, they will only exhaust themselves. But if they learn to move with the waves, to balance, adjust, and flow, they experience something entirely different. They are not controlling the ocean, yet they are not powerless either. They are in harmony with it. This is what peace truly is. Not a rigid stillness, but a dynamic equilibrium. The moment we stop demanding that life be smooth and predictable, we become free. We realize that peace is not found in avoiding chaos, but in moving with it. We do not need life to be perfect to be at peace. We only need to change the way we relate to it. Chaos is not our enemy, it is part of the dance. And when we stop resisting, we find that life has always been moving in perfect rhythm. We just needed to learn how to hear the music. We live our lives as if the next moment holds the key to happiness. We believe that peace is waiting for us just beyond the horizon, after we fix our problems, achieve our goals, or finally figure everything out. We tell ourselves, once I have more money, once I find the right person, once I improve myself, then I'll be at peace. But have you noticed? That moment never truly arrives. The future is always one step ahead, like a mirage that vanishes the closer you get. Our minds are obsessed with time. They constantly pull us into the past, replaying old regrets and memories, or they drag us into the future, filling us with anxiety and endless planning. And yet the past no longer exists, and the future is not here. The only thing that is ever real is this moment, right now, but we rarely pay attention to it. We treat the present as a mere stepping stone, something to endure while we wait for life to truly begin. But what if life is already happening right here? What if nothing is missing? Pause for a moment. Right now, in this exact moment, is there actually anything wrong? Not in your thoughts, not in the stories your mind is telling you, but in this precise instant. Most of our suffering exists not in reality, but in our mental projections. We suffer not because of what is happening now, but because of what we think might happen, or what we believe should have happened differently. But if we let go of these thoughts and simply observe, we find something surprising. This moment is enough. Look around. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Notice the sounds around you, the sensations in your hands, the air on your skin. Life is happening now, and it has always been happening now. The past was just a previous now, and the future will only ever arrive as now. There is no other place to be. Yet we resist the simplicity of this truth. We convince ourselves that something is lacking, that we need to do more, become more, achieve more. But have you ever considered that peace is not something to be found in the future, but something to be recognized in the present? Imagine holding a cup of tea in your hands. The warmth seeps through your fingers, the aroma rises gently, the liquid shimmers in the light. In this moment, nothing is missing. There is no need to rush, no need to seek. The simple act of being with what is, without wanting it to be different, is peace itself. But we overlook this because we have been conditioned to believe that peace must be earned. It must be worked for. But what if it doesn't? What if peace is already here, patiently waiting for us to notice? We do not need to chase the future to find peace. We only need to wake up to the present and realize that this moment, just as it is already enough. We take life so seriously. From the moment we wake up, our minds are occupied with worries, responsibilities, and endless plans. We convince ourselves that everything depends on us, that we must figure things out, control our future, and solve all of life's mysteries. But have you ever stopped to notice the absurdity of it all? We struggle and stress over things that, in the grand scheme of the universe, are as fleeting as a passing cloud. We build identities, accumulate achievements, and cling to our stories as if they defined us. And yet, one day, all of it, our names, our worries, our ambitions, will be gone, just like footprints in the sand. If this is true, then why are we so serious? Why do we act as if life is a puzzle to be solved rather than a play to be enjoyed? Consider the way children interact with the world. They run, they fall, they laugh. They build castles out of sand, knowing full well that the tide will wash them away. And yet they do not mourn the loss. They do not ask, what was the point? They simply move on, finding joy in the next moment. They understand something that adults seem to forget, that life is not about winning or controlling, but about playing. It is a game, a dance, a constantly unfolding mystery that was never meant to be taken so seriously. The universe itself seems to have a sense of humor. It creates galaxies only to watch them collapse. It brings people together in perfect harmony only to separate them again. It allows us to believe we are in control only to remind us, through unexpected twists and turns, that we never really were. And yet we resist. We demand explanations, we want guarantees, we want life to follow a script of our own making. But life does not follow scripts. It moves unpredictably. like a dream with no fixed direction. And when we finally accept this, something incredible happens. We start to laugh. Laughter is the sound of understanding. It is what happens when we start fighting life and start flowing with it. When we see the absurdity of our own worries, when we realize that most of our suffering comes from taking ourselves too seriously, we begin to lighten up. We stop waiting for everything to make perfect sense, and instead we embrace the uncertainty. And in that surrender, peace arises. Not the peace of control, but the peace of letting go. Imagine a leaf caught in the wind. It does not resist. It does not fight against the currents, demanding to go in a straight line. It simply moves where the wind takes it, twisting, turning, spinning with effortless grace. This is how life invites us to be. Not rigid, not desperate for certainty, but playful, trusting, open to the mystery. And the moment we stop taking ourselves so seriously, the great cosmic joke is revealed. The joke is that we were always free. We just forgot to laugh. We spend our lives searching for meaning, searching for happiness, searching for something that will finally make us feel whole. We look for it in achievements, in relationships, in spiritual practices, in philosophies, in money, in experiences. We believe that once we find the right thing, the missing piece, we will finally feel at peace. But have you ever noticed that no matter what you attain, no matter what momentary satisfaction you feel, the search never truly ends? Wait, there is always something else, another goal, another desire, another reason why this moment is still not enough. The reason for this endless search is simple. We are looking in the wrong place. We are like a person searching for their glasses while they are already resting on their head. We believe peace is something external, something that must be found, achieved, or granted to us by the world. But what if it is not? What if peace is not something to be added to our lives, but something that has always been there, waiting to be noticed?